Folks, as you're finding your seats, I want to thank Ed Moss and MKA Public Accountants for their sponsorship of our cocktail hour. And as folks are finishing up, we'll start in just a minute here. Well, officially, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of Dr. Carol Propsfield to the State College of Florida Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Truly one of the finest nights that I think this institution has. And we are so thankful that you've joined us, and so pleased that you've come to honor these outstanding individuals. I know many folks are hungry, so we're going to get to the food in just a minute. I do want to overview what the rest of our evening will look like. In just a minute, they'll serve food. When we're done with dinner, we will start to do our induction ceremonies. We've got 3 Hall of Famers that are going to be able to actually introduce the incoming Hall of Famers to you, and then we'll finish up with some closing remarks. So with that, I'll be back in just a few minutes. They're going to go ahead and get your salads out and enjoy some good conversation with each other. All right, folks, I see desserts coming around, and want to kind of get some things going. Feel free to go ahead and enjoy that dessert. I just want to say a few words. First, I want to thank IMG Golf Club for hosting this event. It's such a beautiful venue for us, and we really appreciate their hospitality. If I could recognize a few people, and for some it's going to be a surprise, so I've got the microphone, I get to do that. A new gentleman, if you haven't gotten the chance to meet him, Dr. Fritsch is our new Executive Vice President in Braden and Provost. Will you just wave your hand, Dr. Fritsch? If you could make all of your nice comments to this fella, my boss, Dr. Rich Barnhouse. And we're so fortunate to have our Dean of Students with us, Jackie McNeil, and she's going to kill me for doing this. And a very, very special guest, the Mayor of Palmetto, Miss Shirley Groover Bryant. You know, our Hall of Fame began in 2006, was the first class that was inducted. This is the 12th class that is entering. Once you do the math, you'll learn we skipped a year. You know, its purpose is to recognize those individuals whose accomplishments really brought favor on the institution, but they're just absolutely spectacular accomplishments. And so it's a wonderful night, but one of the most amazing things about this evening are the Hall of Fame members that come back and support the event and support those that are going to be entering into the Hall of Fame. So if I could just take a moment and recognize those individuals. We have probably does not need an introduction, and you'll get to hear from him just in a little while. Mr. Winn, known as Skip, Bob Winn, who started our program, and we've got him to thank for all of this. In the back, we have Harry Canan, Hall of Fame basketball coach. I'll bring you back to the front to Mr. Nick Cafaro, our second class. And at the table with Nick is Mr. John O'Connor. Used to be the longest standing battery in alumni games. One of them retired, I won't say which. Our Hall of Fame women's basketball coach, Mr. Wayne Stelfox. And as Coach Hill Sr. has passed, but we do have Mrs. Hill with us. In the back, Mr. Robin Jennings. In the way back, Mr. David Moats. And I believe we have Mr. George Sanders in the house. So thankful for all of our Hall of Famers that return each year for this event. It really speaks to the tradition that we have as an institution. You know, we've gone through a few name changes, but one of the constants is the tradition of intercollegiate athletics at our college. Shortly after the college started, we started an athletic program. So it's intertwined with MCC, MJC, and SCF. What we have is a tradition of excellence, and that traditions just don't grow. They just don't happen on their own. They have to be groomed, and the tools of that grooming are things like coaching and teaching, relationships that are built. And we really believe that one of the tools of that fostering of a tradition is that we include student athletes each year in our Hall of Fame, because we think it's important for them to see what this institution, what this college, what this program, what these coaches have meant to our Hall of Famers. And they'll go back and tell stories, hopefully, to their teammates, and just keep our tradition moving forward. So if you didn't get a chance to, we have 5 student athletes in the crowd. Some of them are extremely talkative and can't wait for you to talk to them at the end of the evening. And some are hiding and they don't want to talk. But at the end of the evening, go ahead and ask them. Ask them how things are. They'd love to share with you. So we're so thankful for that. I'd like to go ahead and start with our first induction. I just got in trouble. We had a team the first year. You're the boss. Those who didn't hear that, he said I screwed up again. So if we could, I would like to welcome George Sanders to the podium. Mr. Sanders is a Hall of Fame member, athletic director, athletic trainer, and now current athletic director at Edison, or Florida Southwestern.
Place that calls officials. It's an honor to be brought, to have the opportunity to come back, to be involved. People have said that I'm the person that started the Hall of Fame. You all that are already in, and the people who are being inducted tonight, and the quality of the athletes and the program that's been here is what started the Hall of Fame. The opportunity to recognize those people has been something that's been special to me, and to be a member of the first class, although possibly deserving at some point to be mentioned with the Korcheks, the Winns, the Canans, the Hills, the Stelfoxes, the Hollemans, the Sam Neals, the Hal Chaseys. That's something to me that after being in the system now for a long time, 32 years, is what's neat about it. And to see that and to still be part of that, is important. Although I've been the enemy to some extent the last 14 years, this is still a special place and a special group of people to be involved with. So I have the honor tonight to recognize Johnny Ard as a member of our Hall of Fame. Johnny and I met in the summer of 1987 when he came to start a baseball career here, and I came to start a professional career here. We got here almost the exact same time. He was attending classes to get ready to play baseball, and I was trying to figure out why I'd moved to Florida. And Coach Winn talked me into it, and it worked. And I started saying I could do anything for a year, and that was 32 years ago. So I've been very fortunate in those opportunities. John and I became fast friends, and it is a friendship that I truly treasured. So I could say many things about Johnny Ard as a player, as an athlete, as a friend, or as a man, but I'm going to reuse part of a post that I wrote back in May after a long day in a rent-a-car when I had to drive to South Georgia to Johnny's celebration of life ceremony. He was a remarkable athlete and a better person, and I'm proud to have had him as part of my life, even if that part was small. He never met a stranger. He treated everyone special, and and made you feel comfortable wherever you were together. He had a remarkable ability to make the others the center of attention, even though he typically had the largest presence in any situation. He's done that again tonight by giving me the opportunity to introduce him. It's not about him, it's about what he stood for, what he did, and it is a great honor for me to be able to recognize one of the best that ever put the uniform on here at Manatee Community College at that point. And I'm proud to be able to present Bonnie, Luke, and Jude with Johnny's induction into the MJC, MCC, SCF Hall of Fame.
Bear with me, please. As many of you know, my husband passed away last May. So on behalf of my two boys, Luke and Jude, I want to thank you for this great honor. 30 years ago, I met Johnny at State College of Florida, but known to us as Manatee. He came here as an amazing athlete, but a raw talent that needed the right coaching staff and program to bring out his full potential. With the help of Tim Hill Sr. and a coach Johnny referred to as 1-9, Rick Tomlin, they turned him into a first-round draft pick. Johnny came to Manatee to get drafted and knew this program could make this happen. He was always so proud to tell everybody he went to Manatee, but never told anybody he was a first-round draft pick. He was always, very humble. His first league batter he faced was Bo Jackson in Baseball City, who grounded out to second, and Bo almost beat it out. Johnny knew he could pitch with the big boys at that point. He was traded in 1990 for Steve Bedrosian and a player to be named later. He played with players like Barry Bonds, Will Clark, and coached by Willie Mays himself. But he learned the hard lesson: he could pitch, but he couldn't stay healthy. After we had our two boys, Johnny got a call from his old AA coach, who offered him a pitching coach's job in the Devil Rays. He said, "I'm so impressed with your talent and your ability and your attitude on the field. We really want you." Johnny politely told him thank you for the opportunity, but I would not be able to take this position at this time because I want to coach my own two sons. He loved his family more than anything and sacrificed his opportunities for us. When he passed, I'm sorry, I had to write information down about Johnny for our pastor. We had been members of this church for 12 years. We went to Sunday school class, church events. The pastor sat with Johnny in the hospital, prayed, and talked baseball. When the pastor spoke at Johnny's funeral, he said, "I never knew Johnny was a first-round draft pick for the Minnesota Twins." Then he made the joke, "If I were him, I'd have told everybody, and everybody would have known." But that was not Johnny's style. So to honor Johnny, Luke, Jude, and I humbly thank you from the bottoms of our hearts for voting him into the Hall of Fame. It's truly a great honor, and I'm so proud of him. Thank you, and God bless you.
My thanks to Bonnie and the boys. I know that was not easy. We're so thankful that you joined us tonight. This gentleman and I sat down a few years ago and said, boy, we had one heck of a women's basketball program. There has to be some individuals we can nominate. And he worked really hard. He has more records than I've seen in a while on these young ladies. So I would like to invite Coach Wayne Stelfox for our next induction.
Thank you, Matt. I'd like to thank all of you for your attendance tonight and support these inductees. I'd like to thank our coaching staff from back in the day, 30-some years ago. Dale Dobbs and his wife, Ann, Sandra Fox, Derek King. Two of our coaches, our coach and wife, Floyd Culbreth, and his wife can't be here tonight. But I'd like to thank them for their attendance. I especially like to thank my wife for putting up with me all these years. In 2015, I was at this ceremony, and a young man who played for me at Southeast and then played for Coach Canan at MCC was being inducted. And I was sitting at a table, actually to my, well, we were up there at that time, to my left over there. And one of the coaches at the table said, "Didn't you coach women's basketball here? And aren't you Coach Stelfox?" And at the time, they didn't have one of these. The sticker won't stay on here, so it's here. But at the time, I didn't have any sticker or anything on me. And I said, yes, I acknowledged I was that person. And to my left were two young men that were with the men's basketball team. And the two young men looked at me and said, "They had a women's basketball program here?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "When did you coach?" So I said, 84 through 93. And, well, how was your program? And they said, "Well, we were kind of pretty good." And so it made me think tonight about Stephanie Dumas's induction. And so I started to look back through this. Okay, then I got done in 93, and there were a couple of coaches after me. What did the women's basketball program do through 74 through 95 at MCC? During that 21-year span, they won 8 conference championships, qualified for the state tournament 10 times, made it to the Final Four 3 times, and to the state championship game once. Stephanie is an important contributor to that. As a senior at Fort Myers High School, Fort Myers Riverdale, I'm sorry, I get the right school, I'll be in trouble with her here. They were 18-4, and she was named the Fort Myers News Press Southwest Player of the Year. She averaged 22 points and 16 rebounds per game and was selected to the third-team 3A All-State. The young lady that I knew from 88 through 90, as I observed as a person at first, was a very determined young lady, well-liked, easygoing young lady, enjoyed every day. One of the easiest going people you ever meet, and always had a smile on her face. It's one of the things that caught the coaching staff immediately about Stephanie. Now take Stephanie, the basketball player. This was a self-motivator. Practice, games, high energy, always ready to go. Accepted criticism extremely well. People that have played for us know that we were pretty demanding of them. And she accepted whether it was praise or criticism very well. Okay, always was the kind of kid that you could tell her something to do, she'd work on it. I mentioned earlier that she was easygoing. She was easygoing, okay, not on the basketball court. This girl was a ultimate competitor out there, fiercely competitive. We had one drill we used to run, and probably Coach Canan ran something similar to this. We called it war drill. And you took the lane and we used to put our 3, 4, 5 players in the lane, circle that 3-point line with coach of basketballs, and you throw it off the board. Okay, and they were to get the rebound. Okay, it was to teach aggressiveness, get the ball in the crowd, power the ball back up, try to create a 3-point play. You had to get 2 rebounds to get out. But if you got the rebound and were able to power it up for a 3-point play opportunity, then you were out immediately. She almost always was first or second in that. The other young lady was almost always first and second, who was one of her teammates, is Marcy Colter. And there was always a battle. I mean, fiercely competitive people in there. But this is the way she played. Easy to coach. As a freshman, she's following a long line of forwards at MCC that had success, including players such as Sherry Snyder, Kathy Walls, Tina King, Kelly Bradley. Stephanie was following Kelly Bradley, a graduate of Manatee High School here in town, who went on, she was the leading scorer for us, and then went on to UCF to start for 2 years at UCF. During that freshman year, Stephanie averaged 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 1 assist. Season highs were 19 points and 19 rebounds. She contributed to a team that had an 18-11 record, number 7 in the state rankings, conference co-champions, and qualified for the state regional tournament. In the quarterfinals of the state regional tournament, we lost to number 4 Edison, and Stephanie had 12 points and 19 rebounds in that game. She was second team all-conference that year and selected to the state regional all-tournament team. Between her freshman and sophomore year, we asked Stephanie, just like we asked all our players at that time, certain things to work on. We gave them a checklist of what we expected them to do over the summer and then come back in the fall, hopefully improving their game. We also expected them to be leaders. And Stephanie took that up readily, along with the sophomore teammates she had, as I mentioned, Marcy Colter, Cheryl Pearson, Dion Lowe. As a sophomore, she averaged 18 points a game, number 8 in the state, 8 rebounds, 4 steals, which was 3rd in the state, and 2 assists. And improved her free throw percentage, by 12 points. During the Polk tournament that year, she averaged 32 points and 19 rebounds. She was named MVP of the tournament championship with a 41-point, 21-rebound, 3-steal game in the championship victory. That season, MCC went undefeated in conference. We were ranked number 7 in the state. At the state's regional tournament, in the quarterfinal game, we were playing number 5 Chipola, and she had 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 steals, and 7 assists in that game. In the quarterfinal against number 3 FCCJ, she had 18 points. In the final, we were matched up against Palm Beach. Now, Palm Beach at the time was ranked number 5th in the state and had won the night before against number 1 Pensacola. They had a girl on the team by the name of Yolanda Griffith. Any of you that are WNBA fans, this girl, they called her the truth. They said, if you can play, show it against the truth. And she had, as I said, she had 42 points in the semifinal win. We were playing a team that went 6'6", 6'4", 6'2". Our front line was 6 foot, 5'10", 5'10", and I used to kid that's if we fluffed their hair. Stephanie was interviewed by the, I think it's the Ocala Banner, before the game about this, because there was a big build-up to this. We were kind of like a Cinderella in this thing, and certainly not expected to get to the final. And the paper asked him about the matchup with Palm Beach, and specifically, against Griffith, who also went on to be an All-American, junior college, went on to the pros, played with the Sacramento Monarchs, All-Pro, played on the 1996 Olympic Championship team, gold medal team, aside of Lisa Leslie. She was the starting forward with that team. This girl was a player. I guess what I'm trying to imply here. In that final, we lost in overtime. Griffith had 20 points. Stephanie had 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. Now, I want to interject here that part of the reason that they were able to play well, against Yolanda Griffith was her counterpart, who's here tonight, Marcy Colter. We finished the 89-90 season with a 23-8 record. We're conference champions, state runner-up. We were ranked number 6 nationally, 52.3 points a game. Stephanie excelled on defense. I happen not to say that to you, but she was an excellent defensive player also, which contributed to that 52.3. She was first team all-conference, named to the state regional all-tournament team, and selected second team all-state, all-region. Career-wise, she's number 1 in career points, number 1 in single-season scoring, number 4, in single-season rebounds, number 5 in career rebounds, number 1 in single-season steals, and number 1 in career steals. She received athletic scholarships to Armstrong State, Stetson, UCF, and USF. So as you can see, Stephanie was a good basketball player and certainly contributed to the tradition and legacy of women's basketball at MCC. But more than that, you were around Stephanie, you realize she was even a better person. Coaches love their players to do well. They love their teams to do well. We all want to win, and nobody does all that, not to win. The rigors of school, practices, travel, discipline that's required to participate is demanding. But it helps prepare a person for the most important game that you really have to participate in, which was not basketball. It's the game of life. Stephanie has definitely succeeded at that game. She's a nurse practitioner in the Fort Myers area for a number of years. There are 2 other women, that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame here that played basketball and 2 other sports. Stephanie will be the first exclusively women's basketball player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know her family's proud of her. Certainly our players, former players, and coaching staff are proud of her. And it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you Stephanie Dumas.
I just want to say, well, thank you for the opportunity. Coach Stelfox said a lot. He always long-winded, I can put it that way. But that was Coach Stelfox for us, yes, he does. But I am glad to be here, and I miss the girls who did show up. I just had memories of all the practices. I hate the suicides. I had the nightmares about it, but it made me a better person as I became older and realized it just prepared me for life itself. Even though he was strict with us, he was hard with us, he was our father away from home father, checking on us every night, making sure homework was done, grades, the whole deal. But without him riding us and making sure we was better women, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Thank you.
You folks might not have noticed it, but believe it or not, I'll be 87 in May. 87 good ones.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Winn.
Let me ask you to get a chair. What Matt's doing for me right now is, I don't know, I may have to sit down any minute or whatever any minute, but I just got to feeling really good when I'm glad I don't have to remember 911's number. I'm just gonna point at you. All right. Okay, let's throw the ball out and see what happens. Clem Freeman is one of the best baseball players who ever came through this baseball factory. I'm going to classify him for a little bit as this guy ain't got nothing guy, okay? But he's one of the ones that came through you. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Today, in the game of baseball today, it's very common, in fact, it's the mode, to see college coaches and pro scouts, all of these, walking around with these little, what do I call them, electronic gadgets in their hands to find out how fast a guy throws a baseball. That's it. He does. Now, I got it here somewhere. See this right here? This is a baseball rule book. It's a baseball rule book by the NCAA rules. I have read this book and studied this book probably as many times as any human being you know of has, and also helped to write 2 revisions of it. One when we took on the aluminum bat, and the other one when we went to the designated hitter. I don't know how many times I've read this book, but never once, folks, never once will you find in this book anything that says about how fast he's got to throw. You see, that gets back to Clem being an ain't got nothing guy. Okay? Excuse me, you know, some of you have heard me mention in the past that the only foreign language I speak is Georgian. I just hit it. You know, when you're raised in a briar patch in Georgia like I was, when you get out of that briar patch, it doesn't turn you loose, it sticks with you for the rest of the time. All right? I don't know what that got to do with anything. Okay. So I say all that to say this. This is the rule book. This is what we play by. This is just like the Bible to you and how you live. That's what it's by. Never, never, ever in this book will you find anything that mentions how fast the guy's got to throw. So that's where I came up with Clem being called an ain't got nothing guy. Now let's look at a typical Clem Freeman game. Now he's a tall dude. He's back there somewhere. He's a tall, skinny guy, left-handed. You can't help that. And Clem's on the mound before the game starts. You know, they start in the game, getting the game to start, of course. Then the 3 guys from the opposing team who will bat first in the first 3 for the first 3 outs are in their own deck circle, and they're looking out there and they're looking at this guy, and you notice them kind of snickering, you know, and giggling and snickling, and all of a sudden you'll hear one of them say, "This guy ain't got nothing. This guy ain't got nothing." All right, the umpire calls play ball, and the first guy goes out, just like that, 1, 2, 3. He's out. On the way back to the dugout, this guy ain't got nothing. He's terrible. This guy ain't got nothing. Then the same thing, 2nd out, 3rd out, same thing. All right, your game rocks on now toward the finish. You get down 4th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, whatever. Same guy, still doing the same thing, still ain't got nothing. So you see, that's where I get Clem's. But then when the game finishes, they still ain't got nothing. And what's Clem got? He got the win. That's what he got. And he knew how to handle it, folks. Okay, now. I want to get you to take out this piece of paper where it's got what what the 3 inductees has on it for this year, and look at Clem's little blurb down there. And I know we all can read, probably most of you better than me. I hope so anyway. If not, the world's in terrible shape. Okay. Just follow along with me, if you will, please. Clem Freeman played baseball at this college from 1978 through 1980. The pitcher earned all state awards for both years of competition. He led the nation in earned runs average of, listen now, .50. That ain't nothing, man. In his sophomore season, and was named second team NCAA All-American. Tim currently holds the SCF baseball record for earned run average 1.04. He earned all conference honors and signed with Cincinnati Reds after one season at Florida State University. He played 4 professional baseball seasons. Now, I don't know about y'all, folks, but to me, that's pretty impressive for a guy that ain't got nothing. Okay. Clem, would you come up here, Clem, please? He maybe he ain't got nothing, but I'm fixing to give him something. Okay, thank you.
Skip. Stay for a picture.
Oh.
It'll look better if you're in.
After all that.
Pretty good for a guy that ain't got nothing.
You know something, Skip? I threw harder back then than I do now. So.
I don't even want to hear hard, okay?
And I brought notes.
You know
too.
what I want to hear? Out. That's the most important word in the book.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you everybody for being here, and the people that voted me in. This honor is to be in the company of the people that I know that are in that Hall of Fame. Wow, it's amazing. I can't even express the gratitude and everything else for everything that Manatee has done for me at State College. Kind of hard to say the Manatee, Skip. I'm still a Lancer, so. But you know what? I've been blessed. God's blessed me my whole life, and you know what? My mom, my family, they come over. My mom's here. My dad passed a year after I left here, but my mom, my sisters are here. And as you get older, you see the sacrifices and stuff that your parents have made to so you could do what you do, and never be able to repay her. But Mom, I love you more than anything. My sons are here. 2 of my sons. I got 5 children, so I did pick up something after baseball. But and every one of them got to play baseball. I had one that signed out of high school. Matter of fact, that was he'd already signed with State College, and ended up signing out of high school with the Cardinals and played a few years there. I had a son that played. All the others played college baseball. And one of my biggest moments as far as baseball goes didn't happen on the field, but happened in the stands. And that was being able to see my son hit a home run here at Manatee. And we lost, Polk lost, but you know, he hit his only college home run was here. So good things happen when I come home or come here, which I consider home. And I'd like to say an extra special thank you to my wife, my beautiful wife, Cindy, who you know, she has instilled in me or saw something in me that I don't see in myself, but she let me know that I can do things that I didn't think I could do, and they came true. So I love you more than anything, baby. You know, there's people that have touched my life, and I was talking to Timmy, which I call him Timmy because he was a bat boy when I was here, and but you know, you come here and there's people that touch your life, and it seems like that. I was fortunate enough to play pro ball. I was fortunate enough to coach high school baseball. I've coached mostly all my life. Right now I'm coaching a special needs league in Ackworth, Georgia. So, you know, the things that were taught to me by Skip, by Coach Hill, I carry to this day. If you know anybody that knows me, whether here or anywhere else, they're going to know who Skip Winn is, and they're going to know who Tim Hill is. I love these two men like I love my dad. You know, they took me in and showed me something, made something out of me that I didn't think I was, and touched me, like I said, in a way that this lasted 58 years. Kind of old, Skip. But there was also other people. There was Eddie, the bus driver, and I know, Skip, you remember Eddie. And I tell you what, I got to the point where I talked a lot to Eddie, and words of wisdom, and just down to earth guy, and I, you know what, he is very special to me. Gene, the secretary. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Gene. When Gene was here, I remember my freshman year. You know what, you have high hopes and everything else, and I told her that I was, you know, the two schools I never wanted to go to, but I really was interested. I loved Southern Cal, and I loved Hawaii. Well, my sophomore year, she called me in one day, and she goes, "I got something coming in the mail for you," and it was 2 offers, not, you know, to send in information for me, and they had followed me and everything else, and it was from those 2 schools. So she had taken the time to do that on her own, and she remembered that. So that was something that I'll never forget. The third person was Doc Cunningham. He was our trainer here, and I'll tell you what, he was something else. But I got a little injury my sophomore year, and I'll get into that in a minute, because I think that we would have been in Grand Junction or wherever the World Series was that year if it hadn't have been for that injury. And we ran out of pitching in the state tournament and lost to Pensacola, but Doc took me. I would go to his house every night for 2 weeks between, and for treatment 3 times a day, and he got me ready to throw one game. I threw the first game of the state tournament, and we won in 5 innings, and that was it for me for that tournament. And then the guys did their best and picked me up, and I think we lost to Pensacola in the finals. And but the last 2 are Skip Winn, who, like I said, he was one of those people that you gained respect from, and he didn't say too much, but when he did, you didn't forget. And I told Tim, T2, a story back there, and I don't know if Skip will own up to it or not, but when I was when I came here as a freshman, I was 17 years old, and matter of fact, we went by the Drift Inn today, Skip, when we come in, and I was like, but one of the couple of sophomores got me in. Hey, the lady served me a beer, and I thought I was something else. So I got a 6-pack of beer, and I was staying with Miss Rail down on 26, Helen Rail, and I put the beer in the fridge, and you know, didn't drink any of it, and I was 17, so I thought it was something just to be able to buy it. That was when the age was 18. So, but about 2 or 3 days later, I had not touched any of them, and there was me and Doc Watson and Mark King, a basketball player, living there, and the beer was gone. I come in after practice, and I was like, I'm gonna sit and have a beer, and beer was gone. Well, I asked Doc, and Doc said, I didn't touch it, and Mark told me the same thing, and A couple days later, I saw Miss Rail, and I talked to Miss Rail, and I asked her, and I said, well, whatever happened to that, what happened? I had some beer in the refrigerator, and she said Skip came and got it. And you talk about terrified. I mean, didn't say a word. And you know what? That was 38, 39 years ago, and to this day, he's not said one word. He didn't let me know. He didn't tell me. He didn't do anything, and that's just the way he was. But you know what? I can say this, and I told Tim that year and the next year, I never took a beer in any one of the 2 houses I stayed at. Now, it's not to say I didn't drink a couple somewhere else, Skip, but no. And the other thing I remember is the first day I was here, and you're talking about Manatee Junior College, which was like the premier junior college anywhere. And we came out the first day of practice, and I was an all-state player in high school, and we had quite a few of them that year. We had a great team, and I came out, and we all came out, and we're all dressed in baseball uniforms, and getting ready for practice. And Skip set us down at home plate. He got a bat out, showed us the stance, showed us how to grip the bat, how to swing, everything. We got done, we went to first base. As we got down there, went to second, short, third, left, center, right, pitcher, catcher. Then after all that, which took most of the day, he got us up and he showed us how to catch a ball, how to hold a ball, how to throw a ball. I mean, he left no stone unturned with fundamentals. Like I said, a tremendous, tremendous coach, and I thank you for everything you did for me. And the last one is Coach Tim Hill. And forgive me if I had to pause for a second, but I love that man to death, to this day. I speak of him all the time. He had a way of doing things that might make you mad, but he had a reason behind it. And I'll never, never, ever forget that laugh, just everything about him. I was fortunate I got to come back and see him about, it was quite a few years ago. And when he was recruiting my son and got to talk to him and sit down with him and everything else, and he hadn't changed. And I told Timmy earlier, Timmy, when he was growing up, he looked like his mom, exactly like his mom. But as he's grown up, he's just a spitting image of his dad. And he has that in him, and that's why he's a great coach. But one thing I wish, though, Tim, is I had that little book that he used to keep in his back pocket. He had a little book he called his little Bible, and he had everything written in there. It was about every position and everything else. And I ask him about it often, about, hey, like, look, I want that book, But I just love him to death. And I tell 2 stories about Coach Hill. And the first one was my freshman year, and I came here, and I was getting lit up. I mean, just lit up. We went to Tallahassee and played Florida State, and I think the first 7 batters got base hits, and they weren't base hits, they were ropes. And the 8th batter come up and hit a line drive off my shin, and Skip come out, and they took me back. But we were in class one day, a baseball softball class, which was one of my better classes I did. But I went up to his desk after the class, and I'd been pitching relief, and I'd always been a starter, and I thought I was pretty decent. But I went up to his desk after class, and I said, Coach, I said, look, I'm not a reliever. I want to start. And he looked at me dead serious, and he goes, I'm just going to tell you, as long as you're here, you'll never start. He goes, you're not going to. And I walked away, and I was just mad. I was mad. But instead of going mad in the wrong way and just causing problems, I decided I'm going to work harder. I'm going to, and everything else. And to this day, I think it was on purpose. And he got what he wanted out of me, because by the end of the year, I was ace of the staff, I would say. and then went on to a good career, and it was all because of him. And then the second one is probably the story I tell everybody. We were playing Florida Southern's JV team out here, and that was my sophomore year, and I'd done pretty good, so I was a little cocky. And so Coach Hill put down there was a pitch called, David Reed called a pitch, and I shook it off, and David Reed put the same pitch down again, and I shook it off, put it down again, and that means it's coming from the bench. So I was like, stepped off the rubber, and he come out and he goes, look, Six is, Six is calling this. And I'm like, I don't want to throw it. Well, it goes back, same signal goes down. So I said, heck with it. So I threw it up there, and the guy hit it in the pine trees. And he's running around the bases, and I look over at the dugout, and I said, who called that pitch? And not a word was said, and he didn't say nothing. And I finished the inning, and I come walking in the dugout, and all he did is he come over and he grabbed me by my jersey, and he just kind of took me in the little breezeway out to the back of the thing, and he didn't let go of my jersey, and I'm kind of walking behind him, and he gets out there and he pushes me up against the wall. Not push me, it put me against the wall, and I'm standing there terrified because, and he's sitting there and he's looking around, and he's and I'm going, what in the world's, what's going on now? And the next thing I know, he walks over to the end of the dugout on the ground, and there's a concrete block. And he went over and he grabbed that concrete block, and he come over and he set it down in front of me, and he stood up on it. And at that point, it was like, look, I wanted to laugh, but I was too scared. And he grabbed me by my shirt, and he said, don't you ever show up a coach again. And he didn't say me, he said a coach. And I said, yes, sir. And I laughed after that, but he got his point across, and I never did it again. And you know what? It's like I said, I love that man to death. He always will be everything to me. But the other thing is, the last thing, and I'll leave you with, is we had a pretty good team. That 1980 team, we don't hear much about that. I mean, I haven't heard anything much about it as far as here, but we had a great team. I think we won, 20, something like start out season?
22-0.
And got beat by Dade South.
Got beat by Dade South.
Yes, sir.
But you didn't take that loss.
No, but Lusby hit a home run the day before and jumped on the plate and hurt his ankle, and that's when we lost the next day. Yeah, but we were the best team in the state of Florida by far that year, and just want to give you a little bit, the guys that played on that team, that to let you know, I mean, I saw Harry Saferight's thing from last year about that team in 72, which that's the other thing. We heard a lot about, and we knew when we played here, we always heard about the Keith Smiths and the Harry Saferights and Johnny Grubbs and Max Scared, Pat Osborne. We knew who they were, and the history is meant a lot to us guys, and I hope that they in turn now, the guys now hear about us. But Doc Watson, this is our team, this is our starting lineup, and what they did when they left here. Doc Watson, the pitcher, went to Florida Southern. Mike Kasperzak, pitcher, went to Miami. Chuck Tomaselli signed pro out of here. He went. I think he
went over to Orlando to that junior college and then signed.
Okay, and then he signed. Larry Ocker signed out. I think he signed out here with the Astros. Steve Lusby went to Miami. Jeff Swindell went to South Carolina. Keith Floyd went to Florida. Barry Bass, I think, signed out of here with the Rangers. John Dunlap went to Florida. David Jackson went to Georgia, and David Reed went to Florida.
Jody Reed.
David.
Jody Reed.
Yeah, Jody went on and played at Florida State.
Yeah, I know he did. But he was on that team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to argue with the man. I ain't going to do anything.
Let me say this at this point, and excuse me for butting in.
Yes, sir.
That team was probably as good, if not the best team, material-wise, that ever came through here while I was coaching.
You know what, Skip?
But I mismanaged it.
Well,
No question about it, I mismanaged it.
nothing against Harry and Johnny and them, but I would love to play them.
Well,
I would bet on us. I really would. I thought we were.
Very best was a better pitcher than I thought he was, and Thomas Heather wasn't quite as good.
Yes, sir.
So
But
in my mind, I mismanaged that team.
yes, sir. Well, I'm not going to say that, Skip. I thought you did a great job. But anyway, that, you know what? It was tremendous. And it's not about success here. To me, it's about family. It's about a feeling you have when you come back, or you see these people and you hear about them and you hear these names and everything else. And I was talking to Nick the last time I was here. I think it was when in the alumni games when Al hit one off his head. I was terrified. Nick, I ain't took the mound since then, and I'm not, and I won't Saturday. So I just want to let you know. But anyway, everything, like I said, I appreciate everything. Right now I'm up in Ackworth, Georgia, which is about 25 miles north of Atlanta. Love it up there. Work for the city of Ackworth, Parks and Rec, a great organization with great people, a lot like the people here that I remember at Manatee. You know, and so if you ever get a chance to on vacation or something, come to Ackworth, because it's a beautiful city and a great city, great people. But once again, thank you for everything, and I really do appreciate it.
Let's give another round of applause for all of our Hall of Fame inductees. Before we wrap up the evening, I'd like to thank again IMG Academy Golf Club, MKA Accounting for taking care of us, the trophy case. A huge thank you to our foundation. If you didn't meet Cassandra Holmes in the back, I'm sure she'd love to talk to you about the batting cage project that we've started. It's going to be pretty exciting when it's all done. And a gigantic thank you to Charles Clapsaddle and METV for putting this together so that we can relive this evening. You know, the evening's about excellence and the tradition of excellence that is State College of Florida athletics, Manatee Community College athletics, Manatee Junior College athletics. And it got me thinking about a quote by Vince Lombardi, legendary coach. He said, "Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence." And I want to thank these three Hall of Fame inductees for chasing perfection. Thank you for joining us this evening. Drive safe. And if the inductees will hang around, we'd like to get some good photographs. Thank you.